Hi, I'm Courtney Nichols.
I'm Georgia Schindler.
I'm Carol Ann Turbot.
My name is Dwayne Mason.
And I have my Master's of Counseling Psychology. I'm a registered clinical counselor.
I have a degree in psychology. My role at Together We Can is as a counselor and facilitator.
And I'm a registered therapeutic counselor.
I am a clinical counselor and clinical supervisor at Together We Can.
Mental health and addiction are intertwined to such a degree is that you can't really speak about one without including the other.
Addiction doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't happen all on its own. It's really a perfect recipe, usually including mental health things going on, lifestyle, environment, genetics. All of this plays a part in someone having to kind of self-soothe with an addiction.
Mental health and addiction, they're dominoes, so if you don't treat one, it'll fall into the other. So I work really hard on the mental health side of things, and I think as an organization, we view addiction as an attempt to cope. I also think that addiction is an attempt to regulate emotions. And so just like when babies come into this world, they use their parents to externally regulate them. So independence comes from deep, deep dependency. And I use my early childhood attachment lens to really understand why a client is dependent on a substance and see if we can shift that so that we become dependent on relationships. I like to visualize what would happen when we have a child who is learning to swim. When a child is drowning, that is not the time that we teach them to swim. We jump in and we save them. It's when the child is on dry land that we can then sort of start to teach the skills and the tools on how to swim. TWC is here to pull people out of the water, out of danger, and then teach them how they can re-enter and learn to swim again. And that's the biggest gift of working here.
In my one-on-one sessions, I use a bunch of different modalities to work with the clients. But as I do specialize in trauma treatment, I provide something called EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. It's really just a fancy way of saying I help people reprocess traumatic memories so they don't feel so heavy. I also use a lot of internal family systems work. You're probably thinking, what is that? But what that is talking about the different parts of ourselves. We all have an anxious part, a happy part, a scared part, a part of us that feels like an inner child. And so it's often helpful for clients to be able to talk about what part is coming forward when they're scared or when they're using, or what part of them needs self-soothing. And I think for a lot of clients who suffer from anxiety, recognizing that they are not their anxiety, it's just a small part of them, can be really empowering.
They tell me and they share with me their lives and what has brought them to TWC and their hopes and dreams of what it's going to be like in the future for them. And I try to, uplift them and let them know that that's possible for them and that, their life can change. And I wouldn't spend 2 seconds talking to them if I didn't believe that that was true for each and every client that comes here.
So I think what needs to happen with mental health is two things. We need to believe that we are worth prioritizing, and we also need to want to see change. So I think when people begin to prioritize their wellness, carve out time, create a structure, and find something that fuels your soul, so whether that's reading or yoga, being in nature, listening to music, finding something that helps align your mind, body, spirit.
I look at the client's plight through an existential lens. And the meaning of life and why they're here and what, there's no point in recovering unless there's a life to live after that. And I'm a big proponent of, well, now that you're sober, what's your life going to be like?
This job has taught me that struggle is universal. Whether you're struggling with substances or not, we all are in this struggle, especially with COVID, of trying to balance our lives. And I think as well, it goes back to prioritizing ourselves, not viewing using someone else as a support, as a weakness. We as a society need each other. And so I think COVID has taught us too that the goal isn't independency, it's to learn to depend on others when we need them, and then obviously independently regulate ourselves. But for me, I want us to see more as a society to learn to depend on each other.
You need community. And I think Together We Can is such a beautiful community. It reminds me every day that this is what's needed to heal and this is the environment that's needed for people to thrive.
I think that with our clients, there is a lot of resilience in early recovery because, life still goes on. We still have problems in life. People die, people leave, but it's just amazing how the support that we have here.
It's a part of a community. The clients begin to see that what a community of recovery can be like. Yeah, and I want to say that they feel the love and the caring that is offered here, and they can take that home with them and into the recovery communities when they go home.
In the community, I view TWC as a lighthouse. That is my framework for counseling, is we are here to shine that light out to people that are in trouble. They're in really stormy waters and they can't see their way to shore. And so what we do is we shine the light and we help guide them in. And it is through the relationships and the connections we create, we help them heal themselves. They heal themselves through physical stability, counseling supports, and making meaningful connections. And then the idea is then they can head back out again. They head back out into their lives and they help shine the light to other people that are struggling.